I'm Linda Anderson from the law firm of Anderson Elder Law, and I really am so happy to have Kristina Prendergast here, who is the Manager of Programs for the Alzheimer's Association. Thank you so much for taking time out to join us today. So when I think about the Alzheimer's Association, it is just an incredible resource, and when I think about my families who are getting new diagnoses about Alzheimer's and dementia, it is like the very first thing that I give them as a resource. So tell us a little bit about the Alzheimer's Association and the types of resources that it provides, and really the incredible support that it provides for families.
So one of the most important things we always tell families about is our 24-hour helpline. It's the 1-800-272-3900. So it's available 24/7, 365 days a year. It's manned by dementia experts and master's level social workers, so they can call and get resource lists, find about education programs, tips on caregiving, disease information, whatever they need, and provide emotional support along the journey as well is so important. And there's a language line with over 200 languages and dialects, so people can call and speak in their preferred language or dialect and feel comfortable.
That's amazing. 200?
200, yeah.
Yeah, that's on 24 hours a day, you can call up in 200 languages and find somebody that would be able to help you.
That's right. So someone at 3 a.m. in the morning, someone can call if their loved one's up asking repetitive questions. They just need to talk to someone. They can call and get that emotional support at that time. We also have support groups and education programs in all the areas that we serve. So they can go to, and the specialized support groups, for people who are dealing with frontotemporal lobe dementia, or in the early stages of the disease, or caring for a parent specifically. They can go to one for adult children.
One of the most important support groups that I've ever worked with was early onset.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the increased, at least I'm seeing a lot more early onset and the support groups, and it must be incredible to really be able to find a community for early onset, and just describe what that is a little bit.
It is, and so there's support groups for adult children of early onset. So when you're caring for that parent and you weren't expecting at that age to become a caregiver, it really provides great support to that person, because it's very emotional. And so we do have some of them throughout the area, and they are a great resource.
What's considered early onset?
So early onset is when it's before the age of 65, so 30s, 40s, and 50s.
And you are seeing a lot more of early onset?
We do see some more of it. It is a more rare form. It's about 200,000 Americans who have younger onset Alzheimer's disease.
I find that it comes in waves. If I have one case, then that month I'll probably have 2 more. It's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
Tell us some more about the other resources that the Alzheimer's Association has.
Absolutely. I call it like one of our hidden gems that people don't really know about is our e-services. They're available right at your fingertips anytime, anywhere. So that's our Community Resource Finder. That's alz.org/CRF. So families can search by their zip code for a support group or education program, an elder law attorney, a long-term care facility, home care agency, diagnostic center. So any of those resources. We also have All's Connected right online there. I say it's a great resource for families if they can't get out to a support group. They can go right online. So All's Connected is a online social networking community for the dementia community. And then we have our online education. So all of our education workshops we do in the community, you can find them online as a recorded webinar. And so right anytime at your living room, you can watch one of the education programs. We tell families that it's a great resource if they come to one in the community, but they get there 20 minutes late because they had a hard time getting their loved one out of the house that morning. They can go watch that first 20 minutes they missed right online.
Right. So if you are a caregiver and it is particularly hard to get out of the house, now with the online community, you can still feel connected.
Exactly. You can feel connected and get educated right there in your living room.
Is that the same thing as the Alzheimer's Navigator?
So that's different. The Alzheimer's Navigator kind of helps you just to map out a plan along the way based off of what your needs are.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I'm not familiar with that.
So All's Navigator, you're going to put in your specific needs, and it kind of creates that plan, kind of like what a care consultation would do, which is another service that we provide, but the care consultation's in person. So care consultation, anyone can come and meet with our care consultant in any of the offices we have, and she can sit down and map out that plan, do education one-on-one, mediate a family if people kind of aren't agreeing on what to do, and kind of do disease information education with them.
So one of the more difficult things is sort of like the care planning. And so the Alzheimer's Association has this navigation tool to sort of map out a potential care plan.
Yeah, like a care plan or one of the next steps that you should take along the journey.
That's interesting.
Things to look into.
Any other particular resources you want to touch upon?
I want to make sure to just mention that we are involved in public policy and Trial Match. So Trial Match is a good resource. It's a confidential tool to locate clinical trials and research studies. And so it's not just for people who have a diagnosis, but also for healthy individuals or family members of someone with a diagnosis, because that's how research is moving. We need healthy individuals who maybe have a family history to get involved. So Trial Match is a great resource. And then lastly, we have safety services. So there is the Medical Alert plus Alzheimer's Association Safe Return, which is a national identification program. So it helps families, so they're 24/7, help them locate the person when they've gone missing.
And how do you actually do that? Is that a particular piece of jewelry, or is that, so how do you actually implement that?
Yeah, so it's when they enroll in the program, they get either a necklace or a bracelet. It's just an identification. It has an 800 number, an ID number, and it says memory impaired. So that person goes missing, the family would see they're gone, they call that 800 number and report them missing. They're already enrolled, so we know what's the emergency contact, what do they look like, we find out what were they last wearing, and we work quickly with the police to help get that person located.
That's great. That's a great service. Yeah. So it sounds like there's so many resources. That's barely scratching the surface, but that's fantastic. So for those that are actually trying to get involved to help provide support, what can they do in terms of sort of contributing?
Yeah, so we're always looking for volunteers to provide support for what we do. There's a variety of volunteer roles we look for. There's community educators, community representatives who help out at health fairs, and volunteer community leaders who kind of take other volunteers under the wings and help to train them and bring them along. And we have a new volunteer website that just launched, so it's the volunteer.alz.org. That's where people can go to learn more about what are the opportunities, how can I get involved and help, and get started in the process.
Can you talk a little bit about how the training for the volunteer opportunities, how you provide that and support them if they're interested in volunteering?
Absolutely. So a lot of it's done right online, so people can do it at their own pace and at their own convenience. They walk through that application and background check, and they go through online training right there, education-wise, to get them familiar with the association and more familiar with the disease. And then we bring them in and do some in-person one-on-one training with them as well.
So I think many family members that live through that experience become world-class experts no matter what.
Yes.
But in order to just make sure they get fine-tuned and feel that they're completely confident as a volunteer, obviously they'd get trained. And that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. So one of the big events for the Alzheimer's Association is always the walk. And we have our Alzheimer's Walk coming up in Philadelphia. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So the Philadelphia Walk in particular is the largest in the nation out of about 600 walks that we have throughout the country. It's going to be, we're expecting 10,000 participants on Sunday, November 10th in Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park. And it's a really family-friendly, dog-friendly event. People bring their pets there with them. And there's free parking, there's activities, music, and food, and there's a really moving promise garden ceremony where there's color flowers that represent different people in the community, and it really helps to provide a sense of community, a sense of belonging there that day. So you have a blue flower representing the person who's living with the diagnosis. You have purple representing a caregiver or a former caregiver of someone who's passed away, and a different color flower for each person. And so as they hold up those flowers at the end, you see a wave of color and a sea of purple and all those different colors. It makes you feel like you're not alone. It really helps to move that cause forward and to know that help people know there's others out there.
And I know we were talking before we began taping how the families many times are dealing with their struggles, their personal struggles in isolation as a caregiver or with the disease, and how important these events are just to be able to get together.
It really is. It's important for the people to know that they're not alone. There's others out there who are caring and who are along that same journey with them. And that's what that walk does. And it helps others who maybe aren't involved in the direct caring help to support that person who's living with the disease, so they have a way to contribute and support their loved one.
And I'm sure you're looking for volunteers.
Absolutely, we're always looking for volunteers.
So please, if anyone's interested in volunteering this year or next year, to contact the Alzheimer's Association.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad to hear that Philadelphia, this is the largest in the nation, is that right?
It is the largest in the nation,
Wow,
yes.
wow, wow.
Yeah, so we love for people to get involved. They can start a team. They can make a donation at act.alz.org/Philadelphia or volunteer. I can say for this one walk alone, we need 750 volunteers. It's a lot of manpower it takes to pull it off. So, people want to volunteer, they can reach out to Lane Griffin at egriffin@alz.org and help us out.
That's great, great. So when you think about somebody that's actually diagnosed with Alzheimer's and how strong an impact that hearing that diagnosis must be, what do you recommend as the very first things that maybe they should be doing to prepare to live with that diagnosis? What are the most important things that you want them to know and to do?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And one of the first things we encourage them to do is to reach out to the Alzheimer's Association and make that connection. Call that 24-hour helpline, that 1-800-272-3900. And then also to educate yourself. So for the individual to educate themselves about the disease, how do I share a diagnosis with someone, all of that. And then to go to a support group, talk with their family and friends about their diagnosis, about getting support and how to connect with resources. And we always make sure families early on, we ask, have you met with an elder law attorney? Have you gotten legal plans in order? Because it's so important to do that early. And then lastly, we always tell them that they're not alone. So it's a round-the-clock job to care for someone, and individuals themselves also, they are not alone. So to reach out for help, and the Alzheimer's Association is here to help them.
Right. Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
You have done such a wonderful job in such a short amount of time talking about so many resources for the Alzheimer's Association. So thank you, Kristina, for coming in and doing that. I'm Linda Anderson, and just thank you for joining us. If you'd like more information on the Alzheimer's Association, we'll include all of the information and the links to our website. And if you'd like more information about Anderson Elder Law, please visit it at andersonelderlaw.com. Thank you.